Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. Today, we're going to talk about a secret that businesses know and hope that you never find out that gets you to spend more money without even realizing it.
Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, where we talk about the human side of money. Join us as we dive beyond the numbers, unpacking the psychology of money to equip you with the tools you need to be wise in wealth.
I'm Frazier, Chief Behavioral Officer at RFG Advisory, and I want you to think for a minute. Think about the last purchase that you made. Maybe you ran to the gas station, went to the grocery store, maybe you bought lunch, maybe you bought dinner, maybe you were online shopping. Think back to the last purchase you made. And I don't want you to think about what you bought or how much it cost. I want you to think about how you paid for it. What was the method of payment? And I'm willing to bet that you almost certainly didn't use cash. And the reason I say that is because the most recent data shows that about 86% of transactions today are made in cashless payments. So whether it's a credit card or a debit card or mobile payment, cash is no longer king, and that trend's only accelerating from here. We're not gonna go back to a society where we're spending more money in cash. In fact, you've probably walked into somewhere recently and seen a sign up that says, "We no longer accept cash." And here's why that's important. A group of researchers got together and they said, we want to figure out if there's a relationship between how people spend money and their spending behavior. Does their method of payment impact their spending behavior? In one study that was done, they took two groups of people and had them buy tickets to a Boston Celtics basketball game. The first group bought their tickets using cash. The second group purchased their tickets with a credit card. What they found was that those who used a card were willing to spend almost twice as much as those who used cash. Now, to help explain why this is the case, let me give you an example from my life. I asked you to think a minute ago about the last purchase you made. The most recent purchase I made that came to mind was a few days ago when I went into a store to buy a Roomba. We decided we needed one of these vacuums that could automatically clean our house for us. So we go in, we look at all the options, and when we find one that's $399. When we walk up to the register to pay for this Roomba, we've got a few options. We could pay with cash, we could pay the debit card, we could pay the credit card, we could use mobile payment or contactless payment. And I used a credit card, and it got me thinking, what if I wasn't gonna use a card, but I had to use cash? And a few things came to mind. Number one, if I was spending almost $400 in cash to purchase this Roomba, we're not talking about a couple bills in my hand. We're talking about a thick stack of money to get to $400 and giving that away, taking that chunk and handing it over to somebody else. The tangible money, watching it leave can be painful. Much more painful than using a piece of plastic that you swipe and get right back. Not only do you get it back, but it's not a chunk that you watch leave. It's not tangible. This is what psychology researchers call the pain of paying. Watching and feeling your money leave your hand is painful. In fact, there's been another study done where they go and they look at people's brains, and they found that the part of the brain associated with physical pain is the area that gets activated by handing your cash to somebody and paying with cash. But that's not it. That's not the only thing that came to mind. Here's another thing to think about. Let's suppose that I walked in that day and I only had $200 cash in my hand, but the Roomba that we wanted was $400. In order to still get that Roomba, we would have to leave the store, go find a bank, go find an ATM, withdraw the difference in money so that we can come all the way back and hand over even more money to the other person. There's an element of friction in the process that just simply doesn't exist. If you have a debit card or a credit card or you're paying with your phone, you don't have to go to the bank to get more money. It's already there in your card or in your account. You have access to all of it. So paying with cash is not only more painful, but it adds a layer of friction between you and your purchase decision. All right, so let's talk about how painful each method is, and then we'll talk about what you can actually do about this. There's a scale of pain with these payment methods. The most painful way to pay is with cash. Less painful than that would be a debit card. Less painful than that would be a credit card. And then the one where we feel most detached and the least amount of pain is mobile contactless payment. So now that you know the method of payment can actually impact your spending behavior, in other words, that if you're paying with something other than cash, you're more likely to spend more money. Let's talk about some of the things you can actually do about it to limit the amount of spending or at least be more intentional with your spending. Now, obviously, the most effective way to combat this phenomenon would just be to simply only use cash. But as we already talked about, in today's day and age, that's just simply not an option. So the question becomes, what else can we do about it? Number one thing you can do is to put a ceiling on your credit card. Most credit cards, most credit card accounts will allow you to go in and put a self-imposed ceiling limit on the card so you can go in and say, hey, I only want to spend this amount this month. Number two is you can actually force yourself anytime you want to make a purchase to have to transfer money from one account to the other. So you have a main account, you have a separate account, and you say, I'm gonna spend from this account, but before I do, I have to log into my phone, sign in, and manually transfer the money to make that purchase decision. A third thing you can do is you can go in and you can log every transaction that you make. You can log every purchase that you make. So you go to the store, maybe it's the grocery store, you go, you pick up some groceries, and then as soon as you get back in the car, you pull up your phone, you go to your transaction log, and you write down exactly how much you spent at the store. And lastly, if you're using a credit card, you can set yourself a rule, make a rule that says anytime you make a purchase with this card, the very first thing you're gonna do is go in and pay that off right away. With any of these ideas, the key is to do three things. Number one, you want to increase the pain where possible. Number two, you want to increase friction where possible. And number three, most importantly, you want to create space to be more intentional, because when you're more intentional, you're going to make better, wiser spending decisions. As we always say, it's not until you understand these psychological forces at play that you'll ever be able to fully control your financial future and your financial success. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, contact your advisor and let them know. And until next time, stay wise and well.